Story 1. Insects getting into my ears. I have no fear of wasps or bees just sitting there, or even watching them from a distance. The second they get behind me and within reach of my head, I feel panicky or even experience full-blown panic attacks. For the record, it has happened to me more than once. Story 2. Fear of my phone being stolen. Perhaps it is not such an odd fear, as I am sure many can relate. I would rather have my wallet taken from me without realizing it than lose my phone. I have too many precious memories in my camera roll. My fiancé and our children, my parents and my dog, who is like my little brother. I am terrified of losing my phone because of the loss of my pictures. Money cannot replace what I have experienced. Story 3. I'm afraid something will crawl up the toilet and bite me, like a rat, snake, or crocodile. This fear occurs only when I wake up to use the restroom in the middle of the night. Story 4. I have always feared that I would forget something important. I write down a lot of information and keep several lists in my notes application, even though I never check them. Story 5. I cannot wear flip-flops or sandals in public for fear of an emergency or needing to run or act. Story 6. My lighter exploded in my pocket and my pants caught fire. It would be a moment for someone to laugh at me if it were caught on video and posted online. Story 7. I have a 2-year-old. Every morning, I wake up and wonder why I can't hear her. I'm always so relieved when I hear her make a noise for her mom or when I go to wake her up and she smiles at me. Story 8. I am afraid that a bug will crawl into my hairdryer, and when I turn it on, it will shoot the bug into my hair. Story 9. When other people hold my baby, I know that sounds ridiculous. It wasn't an issue with my first baby, but with my second, I can't stand having others hold him, not even my husband. It never feels like they're doing it right, like he's gonna fall and be permanently hurt. I really can't stand when people hold him with one hand because they talk with their hands. I don't want to feel this way. I don't have any other type of postpartum anxiety. It's only when people hold him. I just hate it. It scares me. I do my best to look away while they have him, grateful for their help. But if anything, I just want them to put him down or give him to me. Story 10. Having my belly button exposed and the fear of something happening to it have haunted me since childhood. I remember a commercial for Kyle XY that made me uneasy. I would never open my closet door without a shirt on, fearing someone might be hiding inside, waiting to take it. To this day, I still dislike being shirtless because of the exposure. Story 11. Drinking from a mug with a ring of human teeth around the rim, is truly unsettling. Story 12. Not gonna lie, I am terrified of Bigfoot. Go on and laugh because I know it sounds ridiculous, but I have had this fear since I was a little kid, and it hasn't gone away. You know those videos online where an unidentified sound is played over the backdrop of a creepy forest? That's enough to reduce me to hiding under a blanket and sleeping with the lights on. Story 13. I have a strange fear that a large tire is heading toward me from somewhere. When I am outside, I constantly look around. I am convinced that one day it will happen. Story 14. I am genuinely terrified when I am out in public because I think someone is going to throw acid in my face. Story 15. Sometimes I have this nightmare about a factory producing aluminum foil. Kilometers of foil on conveyor belts, everything running smoothly. I am the responsible manager. Then suddenly chaos breaks loose. A machine failure occurs and foil is everywhere. Story 16. Hamsters. I really dislike them, and I don't know why they freak me out so much. It's just their faces and eyes. I have an instinct to throw them out the window anytime I see one. Everyone always makes fun of me about this. And honestly, I understand, but something about those little creatures just unsettles me. Story 17. Bees. I got stung in the past, but it was not traumatic. I had no fear of them for a long time until a few years ago. I don't understand it, but my body goes cold, and I get shivers on my back. Run. Story 18. I have a fear of sharks while swimming, even in a small pool. It doesn't make much sense, but I can't help it. Story 19. I fear waking up one morning and finding all my belongings stolen. I live alone and am a heavy sleeper. Story 20. I get really unsettled sometimes when I see ominous-looking Hubble telescope images of strange galaxies, stars, and nebulae. Story 21. Fear of space. Feels like it is never-ending. Who created it? What's beyond it? I don't know why it freaks me out. Story 22. I can explain it. It just takes 43 hours. The fear of being a father is significant. I can mitigate disasters on a large scale, but being a dad is where I struggle. Story 23. Water leaking can ruin a house. I am very protective about this. I have a standard sump pump and a water-powered backup. I check the area constantly when it rains. It's not just rain, either snow, an overflowing washing machine, a tub, a leaky ice maker, anything. Story 24. I fear that my flat will burn down. When I lived with my parents, I had that fear as well. I am not afraid of fire, but I am afraid of losing all the memories and belongings I have. The same goes for my phone. I do not care about the device itself, but I care about the pictures and messages it contains. I am scared of losing that. Story 25. A tsunami could start while I am kayak fishing. I would be in serious trouble if I were out in the bay or open water. My only explanation is that it would be the worst-case scenario, even though I do not live near any active fault lines. Story 26. Religious groups. Perhaps it is not something you encounter easily in your daily life. However, the mere idea of coming across a group of individuals who believe in a particular deity terrifies me due to the uncertainty of the strange rituals or ceremonies they may practice. Story 27. I thought my phone had automatic backup, and I have just sorted it out now on Android. Thank you, my friends. Story 28. I won't go within 20 feet of someone who might cast their fishing line at any moment. Story 29. Water hitting my face makes me feel like I'm drowning. I realize how ridiculous this sounds as I type it out. Story 30. When I was a kid, I was so afraid whenever those big trucks were close, specifically their tires. I would get goosebumps if they were nearby, even if they were stationary. Looking back now, I think the scene in Toy Story, where they were at a gas station and a truck pulls in, almost running over Woody, might have caused it. Story 31. Sprouting potatoes can be alarming when you discover them in the cupboard, growing and transforming into something unsettling. Food should not continue to grow inside the pantry. Story 32. I often have this thought about the interface behind the observable world collapsing, leaving me alone on a plasma grid in infinite space indefinitely. Story 33. Breathing in dryer lint and dust gives me a small panic attack every time I can't hold my breath long enough. Story 34. Someone is finding my old name and identity and using it to locate me. There is a show in the UK called Air Hunters, and while I know no one is leaving me any money, I don't want them tracking me down. I'm not a criminal or in witness protection, just not cisgender. Story 35. Those concrete barriers on the freeway for construction sometimes sit right on the line that divides the lanes, which makes it uncomfortably close to the driver's side. On the passenger side, it doesn't bother me. Story 36. I'm scared of drains, and it terrifies me that I can't see what's going on down there. I stepped on a swimming pool drain once when I was about 4 years old, and my foot suctioned to the drain for a moment. Cue absolute panic. I freed myself with minimal effort a moment later, but it forever left me with a phobia. I won't step on a shower drain, sewer grate, or anything else that I can't see down into. Thank goodness I never saw it until I was an adult, because I'm sure that would have made the fear worse. Story 37. I am terrified of large birds, and some small ones as well. Parrots, in particular, absolutely freak me out. I could never be one of those people who go on a tropical vacation and hold one for a photo. Story 38. Something is following me slowly and never stopping. It felt like it was made in a lab to be the perfect horror film to get under my skin. Since I was a little kid, my one and only recurring nightmare involved me being a shapeshifter, with another shapeshifter chasing me, always knowing where I am and what I have turned into. It is just a never-ending chase that would never end. Story 39. It's not my fear, but my sibling is scared of M&M cookies. specifically the Keebler brand or any cookies with large M&Ms. Story 40. Having the tendons behind my knees and above the backs of my feet at the heels sliced horizontally with a large machete is very specific. I cannot stand to be touched in either place by anyone. Story 41. Zombies. I refuse to live near graveyards and funeral homes. I will not attend funerals unless they are immediate relatives. Even then, I do not stay long. I am also very anxious about mass disease events. During COVID-19, I was a nervous wreck, and I am very concerned about the bird flu and measles outbreaks. I understand that there will likely never be zombies, but you cannot tell me it could never happen with complete certainty. I just cannot deal with zombies. Story 42. Something is going to grab my feet from behind the steps without the kick plate, specifically the open back stairs in basements. Story 43. Tape is getting stuck on my fingernails. I don't know why, but I can't even use band-aids on my fingers. I can't stand the thought of having tape there. Story 44. The toilet seat will be loose and slide to one side when I lean to wipe, acting like a giant cutter. Story 45. Hot caramel in my eyes. I was always careful with caramel and hard candy making, until that one time I moved the cookie sheet with a silicone mat without first setting down the pot I was pouring from. Rookie error. I knew better. The burns on my hands were bad enough, but then I realized I hadn't put on goggles. Thick long sleeves? Check. Apron? Check. Hair covering? Check. I was lucky that time. Worse yet, my youngest was in the kitchen and I was screaming to get away. Go, go, go away. I was afraid of what might happen when I set the caramel down. Would it splash? Would the child get splashed? Now I have nightmares about hot caramel in my eyes and how badly that would hurt. Two things now. I wear goggles or my glasses when I do any hot sugar work, and my caramel has been a disaster 4 times out of 5 since then. I have the fear now, and I keep messing up. Do-overs galore. Christmas was a nightmare. Also, the youngest is now a caramel whisperer. No fears, makes caramel apples, candy apples, hard candies, is calm, and has no issues. I'm the mom in the corner, praying, wringing my hands, trying not to let my nervous fear show. But the child is awesome. They're all awesome, but the youngest is particularly amazing with candy making. Story 46. I have a fear of really large boats. I am not afraid of the ocean. I watch sailing videos frequently. However, I feel fear when I see a picture of a massive cruise ship or cargo ship. Once, I walked by a cruise ship and nearly had a panic attack. Story 47. Black oceans. I would rather be in space than on a boat. Satellite images of the ocean show that it is so deep, it appears black. Story 48. Getting bitten on my backside when I sit down to use the toilet. I have to check the toilet every time before sitting on it. Story 49. Reptiles in general seem to lack souls and are perceived as incapable of love. While I know they can express affection, I still hold the belief that they cannot. Story 50. Looking into a mirror in the dark, I always think I will see a ghost. If I go to the restroom at night, I wash my hands with my head turned away from the mirror above the sink. Story 51. I have a significant phobia of crane flies. They are not dangerous to humans as they cannot bite. They are completely harmless, and I know that. However, I am terrified of them. If one comes near me, I will run away screaming. Story 52. Everyone has seen a blood clot, but do you know what happens next? Congeals, dries out, and becomes like sand. It makes my whole body have a physical reaction because it is such a foreign thing that my body rejects it. Every time I have to open up a heart, I experience anxiety, sweating, holding my breath, shaking, and my hair stands on end. All part of the fight or flight response. Out of fear that inside will be clumps of red sand. There's not much that can make me retch. I have lost count of the number of necropsies I've done, even the rotting ones. Blood sand, though? Every time. Nope. 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 Story 53. When I was a child living in the country, I had to run the trash to the dumpster at night. I would scream and cry, running all the way there and back, afraid werewolves were going to get me. Story 54. Being pushed from behind by a stranger for no reason is unsettling. I dislike people loitering behind me. Although this has never happened, I am completely certain it will someday. Story 55. Constantly repeated small actions like people clinking drinks together or giving a thumbs up creep me out and I can't figure out why. Story 56. I will be at home on vacation or a sick day from work, and I fear that the entire building might blow up or collapse, resulting in the loss of everyone I work with. Story 57. I have never been impacted by a fire of any kind, and no one in my family has, to my knowledge. That said, I have a significant fear of my house or the building I am in burning down. I conduct drills with my family and ensure the smoke detectors have fresh batteries. I make sure we have fully charged fire extinguishers in at least 3 locations around the house where a fire is likely to occur. I even had my husband modify the back patio with stairs so we could use it as an additional escape route if needed. I am the same when I start a new job or visit a new place. I look for exits first and ask about fire extinguishers and emergency plans. I take drills very seriously and exercise caution around heat sources, electricity, and any open flames. I have no idea why I have this specific fear. Story 58. I have an irrational fear or a bad feeling when I see doors with small slanted windows. They were popular on houses built in the 1970s or 1980s. I'm not sure if something happened to me that I blocked out, but every time I see a door like that, I feel deeply unsettled. Story 59. A vehicle driving behind me on the road makes me feel like I'm going to get hit all the time when I walk next to the road. It makes it hard to go outside. Story 60. The only animal I fear is the chimpanzee. You can put me in a cage with a lion and I'll greet it calmly, but if you put me in a cage with a chimp, I'm going to be scared. Those creatures can be unpredictable. Story 61. I am extremely worried about injuring or breaking my neck. It has never happened, as far as I know, and I have no idea why I have always been so anxious about it. Story 62. Waking up each day to a monotonous and painful existence completely devoid of joy. I don't speak to anyone and nothing has changed for a long time. Story 63. I have always been a little afraid of dead plants. I opened up to my parents about this, and they sent me to the wilderness. Story 64. Someone is hiding in my apartment and attacking me by surprise. This has never happened to me before, and I always lock my doors, but it is such a primal fear. People can be frightening. Story 65. Breaking my nail always scares me that it will rip the entire thing off. I recently tore a lot of my nail and had a huge panic attack. I cried for an hour and felt like I was about to die. It horrifies me. Story 66. Cinemas make me anxious for some reason. I try to avoid them at all costs, but my husband enjoys going, so I compromise. However, I feel overwhelmed with anxiety in the days leading up to the visit. When we arrive, I spend the entire time counting down the minutes. 1 hour to go, 40 minutes to go. As soon as the credits roll, I quickly leave. It's so difficult that I can't even concentrate on the movie itself. I'm just trying to get through the 2 hours. Even talking about it makes me feel sick and anxious. Story 67. Fire. If I smell something burning, I experience a huge panic attack. Also, breaking bones is not an option for me. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.